everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angie and I'm glad you're here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss when I upload new videos. Today I am doing a collaboration with Random Bites of a Sweet Life and several other ladies called Say Yes to the Dress, and we are discussing our wedding dresses and our weddings in general. I will have a link to Random Bites of a Sweet Life, her channel, and I'll also have a link to the playlist. I'm going to take these glasses off because there's a glare coming in from the window, so I'm just going to take them off. My husband and I were married, his name is Phil. My husband and I were married 27 years ago on August 31st. This is my wedding dress. It was not this yellow, it was ivory. It was a very pale, very subtle ivory color. It was custom made for me by my sister-in-law at the time. She was a seamstress. She probably still is a seamstress. I don't know. She and my brother are divorced, have been divorced for many, many years. So I assume she's still sewing, but I can't say that for sure. But anyway, she made my dress. It is made out of 6 different patterns. I saw a dress that I absolutely fell in love with. It was something like, I don't know, $8,000 or $10,000. 27 years ago, which was outrageous, and there was no way that we were going to spend that kind of money. So we went to the fabric store and found patterns for each portion of the wedding dress, and she assembled them all and created my wedding dress, and she also created all of the bridesmaids' dresses for the wedding party as well. Fun fact that I did not know about until later, and I'm really glad she didn't tell me. Her own bridesmaid's dress was not done, and it was actually base stitched together, which for those of you who know anything about sewing, you'll understand how dangerous that is and just how crazy that is. It's basically very long stitches that are just intended to hold the fabric together while you stitch it together, and she didn't do that. She just basted it together. She ran out of time. She was still working on my wedding dress the night before the wedding. I didn't know any of this until several months after the wedding. But she was still working on my wedding dress the night before the wedding. So hers was really just thrown together, and she said she was praying the entire time she was walking down the aisle at the church that the wedding dress didn't just disintegrate as she was wearing it. We're all very thankful that didn't happen. And it didn't happen. The dress held up beautifully through the wedding and through the reception and all the photographs and everything like that. So we were very fortunate that way. So my dress has not aged well. I did not have it preserved. I didn't know at the time that that was something that needed to happen. I just had it in a traditional garment bag, and it has seriously yellowed with age. Some of you may not recognize that it's yellowed with age because I like yellow and it's all over my house, so you may have thought that was intentional. It is not. The dress was supposed to be ivory. It was ivory when I wore it, and I'll show you pictures. But this is all illusion. The sleeves are all illusion. Came down to a point over my fingers. Lots of beading and pearls because, you know, the 90s. So that's what we did. Big puffy sleeves. A lot of lace, and the train also has illusion at the back of it. So it was quite beautiful, and I felt very pretty in it, and it has these, if I can pick them up, these ribbons so that after the wedding I could just slip these over my arm like this, and then the train was out of the way for dancing and so forth while we were at the reception. I absolutely loved the wedding dress. I was thrilled with the work that she put into it. She did not get the crystal beading done, which I was disappointed. She lived about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from us. So I would go down for fittings, and the last fitting I had was like 6 weeks before the wedding. So I did not know until the morning of the wedding that she didn't get the front of the dress beaded with the crystal beads, and by that point I didn't care. It was just, you know, it's beautiful, it's ironed, let's get it on, let's get the wedding going. You know, I didn't care about anything other than marrying Phil at that point. So let me see. We met in a dance club. I was a single parent. I was going to school at night, working during the day. So I went out one night a week with my friends, and that was it. And we went to the same dance club, and everybody at the dance club knew us. All of the staff, the waiters, the DJs, everybody knew us, and they knew that It was the same group of girls that came every evening or every Friday evening, and we just came to have fun, kick off, blow off a little steam, have a couple of adult beverages, and then we went home. We weren't there to pick up guys. We weren't there to start trouble. We were just there to dance and have a little bit of fun. And then we came in as a group of ladies and we went home as a group of ladies. That's what we did every week. So one night we were there and my friend saw Phil when he came in. Phil is 6'5", so he's hard to miss. But she saw him come in and he was kind of bopping around to the music, and she said, "Look at that long, tall drink of water at the bar." And I looked up, but at that point he had turned around and the only thing I could see was basically his head and his shoulders. So I said to her name was Judy, I said, "Send him a drink and tell him it's from you." She's very bashful, and she was in an on-again, off-again relationship with a young man, and they were off at the time. So she was kind of hesitant to do anything, but I called over the waitress whose name was Tracy, and I said, "Tracy, send him a drink, tell him it's from Judy." She did, and Phil came over and he and Judy talked for quite a while. I would say probably an hour, hour and a half. But Judy got more and more nervous that Pat might come in. So she got just more tense and more tense the longer that Phil was there. So he eventually wandered off. And we didn't really say much more than hi to each other at that point. The next Friday night we were there, same group of ladies, and Phil came over to say hi. Pat was there at that time. Judy and he were back together, and Pat was with us, or with Judy at that point. So we were sitting around the table, and I was kind of bebopping in my chair, and Phil was bebopping, so he asked me if I wanted to dance, and I said yes, and we spent pretty much the rest of the evening on the dance floor. He walked me out to the car that evening when we were leaving. He walked me out to the car, leaned in to give me a kiss goodnight, and I just absolutely bolted. Like I bolted. I leapt into the car, absolutely shocked and more than slightly terrified. And Judy looked at me like I was crazy and said, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "That's the man that I'm supposed to marry." And she looked at me as if I had just grown horns out of my head and said, if that's the guy you're supposed to marry, why are you so freaked out? And I said, "Well, what if he doesn't know it? What if he doesn't recognize it?" And she's like, "You are an idiot." Phil called the next day, wanted to know if I would go out with him that night. It was his best friend's birthday party, and I said no. I was a single mom with 3 kids. I was already at school 2 nights a week. I didn't leave the kids that often. I had an arrangement with a friend of mine who was also a single parent. My kids would spend Friday nights with her. Her kids would spend Saturday nights with me. That way neither one of us paid a sitter, and the kids were always with friends. It didn't seem like I was leaving them with a babysitter and going out for the evening. They didn't see it that way. It wasn't viewed that way in their minds, and that was really important to me. So I said, no, I'm a single parent. I don't leave the kids 2 nights in a row. So he said, "Well, how about if we spend the entire day with the kids doing something special?" I said, okay. I had never at that point experienced somebody who had put that much thought or effort into the kids at that point. I didn't introduce a lot of people to the kids. But nobody had, and it was just off the cuff. It was an immediate response from him. It wasn't anything that he had to stop and consider. He was just like, okay, well, we'll make the day special for the kids then. And the immediacy of that response and the complete and total acceptance that the kids came first was huge with me. So I said, sure, okay, we'll do that. I need to go out to my mom's. She worked retail. She worked 60 or 70 hours a week, so I cleaned her house for her on the weekends. So I just need to go out and clean Mom's house, and he said, "I'll go with you," and I about fell off my chair. So we went out to my mom's. I cleaned the house. He chatted with my parents. We took the kids to the lake. We just spent the day together. I think the girls spent the night with my mom and dad that night because, again, I didn't just leave them with babysitters. So, yeah, we just really hit it off. We met in March, and we were married in August. And that was 27 years ago. The only way I can describe it is that first night when he walked me out to the car and he kissed me goodnight. It was an immediate soul deep recognition that this was what had been missing in my life, all of my life. It was very much a moment of, oh, there you are. I didn't know that the other half of me had been missing until I found him. And it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying to consider that I might recognize that he's my other half, but what if I'm not his other half? Or what if he doesn't recognize that I'm his other half? Thankfully he did. So that worked out well. And we have been married for 27 years. The 3 girls now have 2 brothers. There are 5 kids in total. We have 16 grandkids. And we have an amazing life. He is truly my best friend. He is the first person I want to talk to. He's the first person I want to tell when anything good happens. He's the first person I want to talk to and be consoled by when something bad happens. He's the first person I tell when something hysterical happens. We are polar opposites in almost every facet of life. I am outgoing, find it easy to talk to almost anybody. I'm loud, boisterous, like to have a good time, like to be fun and go places and do things. He's happy to be a hermit, sit in his chair, not do anything, do his cross stitch, do his crafts, be with me and the kids, and he's happy. He's just happy that way. He did. If I didn't marry him, he would never leave the house. Like, that's true. He would never ever leave the house. If he hadn't married me, I would never be home. Like, I would just be out doing, I don't even know what, all the time, like just running around, window shopping, whatever. I would just never be home. So we balance each other perfectly. Yeah, so anyway, he's totally different style than I am in just about everything. Food and music and just everything. And for whatever reason, we work really well together. If he's frustrated by something, I'm calm about it. If I'm upset about something, he's calm about it. We balance each other beautifully. We are rarely both upset about the same thing at the same time. It just doesn't happen. So we just balance each other really, really well. He truly is my best friend. So it's just been amazing. Some of the other things I'm supposed to talk about, where we went on a honeymoon. We didn't go on a honeymoon. We took our money and took the kids to a pet store and bought them pets. We bought hamsters, which is a really bad idea. Don't ever do that. We bought what was supposed to be all female hamsters, and they were not all female hamsters, and we had 1 million hamsters in very short order. But again, I was a single parent until I married Phil. We just did not want to leave the kids. We didn't want to leave the kids home. So we spent a couple of nights in a hotel and then spent the rest of the time with the kids. Just went and got the kids, brought them home, and lived our lives. So we never really went on a honeymoon. We do now take periodic trips together. We've been on a cruise. We go to Chicago for long weekends. We go to Omaha for long weekends. We go to Kansas City for long weekends. So we take time for each other, but we haven't made like a honeymoon trip. We never did any of that. Our wedding was held in a local church here in central Iowa. It was absolutely beautiful. Both of our families turned out in spades. My mom and dad had built a house. They sold it many years ago, but they had built a house that it was a little bit out in the country, and they had a huge backyard. I think they had a half an acre, a quarter of an acre, a half an acre. The backyard was huge, and my dad was always absolutely meticulous about the lawn, and my mom has always grown incredible floral arrangements and flower gardens. So they went to the nines, and we had our reception in the backyard. My dad had a dance floor built and put up lights, and we had the DJ from the dance club where we met came out and DJ'd our reception, and all of our families were there, and it was just, my dad put up a tent. It was just amazing. It was just a really great evening. And then it was on Labor Day weekend, and my grandparents obviously stayed at my parents' house, and then we went out that Sunday, or maybe it was Monday, and opened wedding gifts with my grandparents there, so that they were a part of that celebration, and we had special time with them, and that was really awesome too. That's a memory I hold very dear, knowing that we had that individual time with them. It was very meaningful, and it's something I look back on quite a bit. So this is the top of the wedding dress, and of course the big puffy sleeves, because again, the 1990s. The illusion sleeves, illusion sweetheart neckline, all the beads on the front, and then these were supposed to be sequined or crystal beads all the way down. Again, that didn't happen. The back is a zipper, but also illusion all the way up the top, and it's just gathered and pleated all the way around. And again, it was not this yellow. I will include and the point tuck on the front of the hand. I thought that was amazing. I don't know why I thought that detail was so amazing, but I truly did. And I will include photographs of me wearing the dress. I do not fit in it any longer and have not for many years. But that is my wedding dress, and I obviously still own it. It just hangs in my closet. I don't know what I will do with it, or if I will do anything with it. I do have 3 daughters. They have all tried it on, but it doesn't fit or suit any of them. And again, it's quite yellowed with age. But I absolutely loved it at the time. All the beads. It's very dated now, but it was everything to me at the time. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you watch the rest of the playlist. Leave a comment below. Tell me about your wedding. If you're not married, tell me about what you envision your wedding to be like. If you're engaged and planning a wedding, tell me about that. I'd love to hear about it. You guys have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Baby, when you hold me, I rather lost my senses than be lonely. 'Cause baby, when you touch me, I feel holy. Oh, nothing in the world will kill me as long as I got you. I was running from myself those days, always breathless, search for something safe. And then I smashed into that golden face, and for the first time I don't run away.